Newsfirst, Newsline with Faraz Shaukat Ali on TV1.
And a very good evening to you and a warm welcome to Newsline Live. Well, what a day it's been. Shame, shame, shame on you. Sri Lanka's parliament, the majority, voted today to remove a member of an independent commission, the chairman of the Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka, PUCSL, Janaka Ratnayaka, by quite an overwhelming majority. Then we also had somebody by the name of a member of parliament, Ali Sabri Rahim, member of parliament, elected from the Putlam area. And yet he turns out to be nothing more than quite a smuggler. Detained at the Bandaranaike airport and fined for smuggling in gold and smartphones. And it's absolutely amazing how the ordinary passenger can arrive in the country carrying commercial quantities. That's simply not allowed by convention. To discuss these matters more is, of course, a member of parliament from the SJB who first brought this whole matter up to the attention of the public. And he's right here with us, Mr. Harshana Rajakarna. Good evening. Long time no see. Welcome to the program.
Good evening, Faraz, and thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. Honestly, it's a pleasure. But what a shame what happened in Parliament today. The Parliament voted to get rid of a member of an independent commission, Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka, Janaka Ratnayaka.
So, I mean, we had the debate the whole of today, and around 5 p.m. the vote began, and so I think 123 members of parliament voted for, and 73 of us voted against. So it is nothing to do with the individual. I mean, personally, I have never met him or spoken to him, but it is to do with the independent commission,
right,
and the chairman of an independent commission, and he was doing his best to do something for the sake of the public, to reduce the electricity tariffs, the price of fuel. So when you look at that angle, I think it's very unfortunate that just because he was not obeying whatever the orders from the government, they brought this proposal against him to get rid of him.
So it's absolutely brings it into sharp focus, doesn't it? That clearly when the former president, Gotabaya Rajapaksa, appointed this man to his position, he clearly wanted a yes man, and it now turns out that Janaka Ratnayaka was anything but a yes man.
True, but this was not the first time. You know, when you talk about the election commission, you know, the same thing happened. The election commission is asking for money to have the local council election, but the executive is not providing sufficient funds. And also there was a time that there were threats to the election commission members. So, you know, this whole thing is not at all for a democracy. You know, we need these independent institutions, and we need these independent institutions to have a vibrant democracy. Unfortunately, the government is interfering and politicizing all these institutions.
But it really is sad, isn't it? I mean, what's the point of having these? You may as well say that these are not independent commissions, but they are merely commissions appointed at the whim and fancy of, I suppose, the president.
I know. So it is...
Because it's absolutely... There's no good misleading the people, because as we saw with the Aragallia, people do have a brain, they have a mindset, they know what's going on. Sri Lanka does, after all, have one of the highest literacy rates in South Asia. So people do know what they, they can't be taken for a ride the whole time. And it brings into sharp contrast how, rather than appointing people on a scientific basis, as President Maitripala Sirisena once said, these appointments are being made purely and simply, apparently, on the ability to say yes, sir, to the President.
So, I mean, the whole point of having these independent commissions is that they should act independently.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be politicized. There shouldn't be political interference. So that is the whole point. But unfortunately, even though these independent, so-called independent commissions are there, I mean, they somehow find the way to get rid of the members. I can remember what happened to Shirani Bandaranaike,
yes, Chief Justice.
Chief Justice. So this is a country where we got rid of the Chief Justice a few years ago. So just simply because she didn't obey or go ahead with the government agenda. And that's the same thing that happened here. So there was a conflict between the ministers and then the new president, and they somehow used the majority in the parliament because they obviously have a majority, and they all ganged up and got rid of him.
But this appears to be a sort of a danger of a democracy, because by the same token, because of the majority that any government of the day has, perhaps they can just about do anything.
True. Now, this is sort of a message to all the other independent commissions as well.
Indeed.
So this is a message that they want to convey.
Yeah.
If you don't listen to us, if you don't do what we want you to do, this is what is going to happen. Same thing that happened to the chairman of the PUCSL will happen to them.
So the message is, you better watch out. You better watch out, because I'm watching.
Exactly.
Well, not me, the president. Somebody, the minister.
Yeah.
What do you think really went wrong? Was there an ego problem between the minister and the chairman of the PCSL?
So it wasn't only with the minister, was it? It was with the whole government, and one thing led to the other, and they started attacking press conferences from one party and another press conference from the other party, and the president intervened, and president called, if you can remember, president called the members without inviting the chairman.
Indeed.
And it went on like that.
That was a bit of fueling the fire, kind of thing.
Exactly. So it was a very clear very clear that the president also intervened and got involved. And
isn't that even more shocking, though?
So that's very scary.
He was the deputy head of the International Democrats Union, IDU.
True, but
I see that made you laugh.
But this is how he rules over here.
Well, shame on you for doing that. And thank you for your several questions, because we have the same thing. You can say something different than shame, because I said that. But honestly, what kind of message is this sending to the international community? We've just had the IMF. They were here on my program yesterday. They've just left Sri Lanka. Our first review's not too far away. What kind of message does this nonsense send out to the people? And we can't be saying that, oh, look, we're a sovereign country and all that. Well, in that case, don't go and ask for money then. Begging bowl in hand.
Yeah, so this is not only to the IMF, to the whole international community.
Indeed.
So, I mean, the international community will have a dialogue with us and will help us in any way if we make sure that we protect our democratic values. And unfortunately, we have been not showing that. We have been completely doing the opposite. This is one example. Not holding elections is, I think, the biggest.
Yes.
Right? I mean, we are talking about good governance, and IMF is specifically talking about good governance, and they're apparently going to have a special report on good governance. And so not having elections, I mean, that is a main core thing for a democracy. And having independent commissions and having actually, having independent commissions to behave or rather behave independently and supporting those independent commissions is crucial for a democracy.
Indeed, indeed.
But it's very unfortunate that the time that we need the support of the international community, if we act like this locally, it's a matter of time, I would think, that the international community would also point the finger, and you never know. We had the experience of not having the GSP.
Indeed.
The GSP plus concessions were taken off. I mean,
it'll be ironic if it is lost again during the tenure of President Ranil Wickremesinghe.
So exactly. So, I mean, we have had that experience, so we know that these things could happen, and so are we, especially at a moment where we need the international support ever before. So, I mean, it's very scary.
Absolutely. And in between all this, we must bear in mind, we need to focus that successive governments in Sri Lanka hardly do anything about anything worth doing. For example, we had these three items were actually mentioned on my program by a diplomat who was on our program, and they too were concerned, and I shall mention these again. The central bank bond scam, the alleged, nothing really happened about that. No legal resolution to the end of that. Secondly, do you remember that time when certain people who were armed, they left temple trees, armed, temple trees, the official residence of the Prime Minister, I suppose, and they marched to Goldface and they attacked innocent protesters, and nothing's really been happened about that either. And so then of course there's the other and very tragic matter of the Easter tragedy. What's happened to that? Who's been charged? Who is the mastermind? These are the questions that, and on top of that, today we have all these people who've just voted out a member of the independent commission. Harshan Rajakona, thank you for being on our program. We'll see you on the other side of the break, shall we? And we'll discuss Goldfinger. Shall we do that?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see you on the other side of the break.
Newsfirst, Newsline with Faraz Shaukat Ali on TV1.
Parliament votes to remove the chairman of the Public Utilities Commission. 123 votes in favour, 77 votes against.
අයියෝ ඒක තමයි අපි කරා. ප්‍රතිපත්තිමය තීන්දුවක් නිගන්න වෙන්නේ.
MP Ali Sabri Rahim blames government for failing to secure his release from customs. Votes against government resolution.
ආණ්ඩුවත් එක්ක ඉඳලා මේක අසාධාරණයක් මට වෙනකොට මේ වගේ වෙලාවට මාව බේරු නැත්තම් ආණ්ඩුවේ ඉඳලා වැඩක් නෑනේ. ඒක ආණ්ඩුවේ විරුද්ධ ඡන්ද දුන්නේ.
SLPP reveals that Janaka Ratnayaka was part of the plan that removed former Chief Justice Shirani Bandaranayaka.
Shirani Bandaranayaka එලවන්න ෆයිල් එක හදපු පුද්ගලයා දැන් ස්වාධීන කමිෂන් සභාවේ සභාපතිවරයා හැටියට එලවන්න හදනවා කියලා වෙන මතයක් හදන්න.
Janaka Ratnayaka says he is free and ready for the challenge.
මේ පරාජය මට පුද්ගලික අයිතුන් දෙයක් නෙවෙයි. මේක සමස්තයක් වශයෙන් ශ්‍රී ලාංකික මහ ජනතාවට අත්තුණු පරාජයක් කියලා තමයි මම හිතන්නේ. ඒකට හේතුව තමයි
Motorcycle gunmen strike again. Father of 3 shot dead in Habarathuwa. Timely debt restructuring crucial for Sri Lanka, says IMF. No funds for National Poson Festival. Mihintale chief monk goes seeking funds.
When a heart attack strikes, every minute makes the difference between life and death. With the right care and treatment at the hand of the most skilled surgeons and medical professionals, with the perfect environment for recovery, Darden's Heart Centre, dedicated to you.
Newsfirst, Newsline with Faraz Shaukat Ali on TV1.
And welcome back to Newsline Live. What an awful day it has been for good governance in Sri Lanka. Today we had a smuggler who also happens to be an MP who turned up and shamelessly walked into Parliament. Not to be told anything, no censuring, nothing. We wonder why. Our guest today is a Member of Parliament from the SJB, Mr. Harshana Rajakaruna. Harshana, again, thank you for being in the program. Member of Parliament Ali Sabri Rahim from Putlam, from the Muslim National Alliance, I'm told. I mean, what's going on? Is he actually a part-time bullion dealer? Does he have a license for that?
It's like you said. It's tragic that I mean a member of parliament, was caught in trying to smuggle gold and some smartphone, and he had to pay 7.5 million and he had the audacity to come to Parliament the very next day.
Indeed.
And it's shameless. Actually, I don't think that he had license in the first place.
I checked actually this morning from a source at formerly at the National Gem and Jewellery Authority. And apparently, if you are going to be dealing with gold, you need a license.
So even if he has the license, you have to declare it.
Of course. You can't be hiding it in your personal luggage.
So he obviously has not declared it, and he was trying to smuggle in.
Absolutely.
And
well done, Customs Sri Lanka, for catching him, because obviously you won the ball. You kept your eyes on the ball. Well done for catching them. Very good, actually. But there are other questions. Like, for example, did the import controller give him permission to import these things? Because remember, we can't be importing these things. We can't import them because we don't have dollars. So I wonder what Mr. Import Controller was doing. I wonder whether Mr. Ali Sabri Rahim went there and asked for a license. or whether one of his colleagues or who were working with him or his associates, whoever, did they get a license from the import controller?
I doubt that there's any license or any authority to bring any of these things. If so, he wouldn't have got fined. So he was fined 7.5 million rupees for bringing these things unlawfully. That is the reason that he got fined. I mean, I don't think that is enough, though.
No.
I personally
what
believe
would you
that,
like more to happen?
I personally would think that he should resign from Parliament.
Our card number 2, let's play card number 2 again, because this is very important in terms of money that we don't have in Sri Lanka. And card number 2 says that did he transfer the money to pay for the gold and mobiles officially through the banking system? Because obviously some guy in Dubai or UAE didn't just hand him all this gold. He got paid.
Yeah, I'm sure he would have smuggled out the money also.
Well, exactly, because I thought that with this exchange rate being open to market rates, the bottom has been knocked out of the Hawala system, right?
Yeah.
The Undil, Hawala, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And therefore, you know, Sri Lanka has these very high interest exchange rate, but it's just under 300 today, but still, it'd be interesting to know how he got the money out and how he paid for them.
So I think there should be a thorough investigation.
Absolutely.
So this this is definitely not the first time he did this.
Indeed.
So I'm sure he would have done this so many times before.
Well, it's entirely possible. We don't know until we have an investigation.
Exactly. So there should be a thorough investigation. But it was said that, you know, there's absolutely nothing, that he's out of everything, and he just walked into Parliament and
as though it's all done.
As if everything was done. So there should be a thorough investigation, not only with the customs or the import exchange controller. What about the inland revenue?
Absolutely.
And you know, there should be a thorough investigation.
I mean, there are other questions like what is the source of funds to pay for all the cargo he brought in, which we've just been discussing. Also, what is the source of funds to pay for the fine reported as 7.5 million? He obviously paid it. That's why he's been asked to go home. Well, in this case, he came to Parliament.
Yeah, yeah. So all that is a big question mark, and there should be a thorough investigation, no doubt.
And there are other questions. I mean, we wonder how many such trips the Member of Parliament has made in, let's say, in the last 2 years.
Yeah. So he has been in Parliament for just over 3 years.
Indeed.
So I'm sure he would have done quite many trips. As far as I have heard from other colleagues of mine, he travels very often. And
well, in that case, you know, also, Arshana, as you know, and as all our people who work abroad know, you can only bring in maybe 20 or 30 kilos and then you have to pay more, which is very expensive. So people put things called unaccompanied baggage, which comes in as cargo. I wonder whether the customs will be now on the lookout for any unaccompanied cargo that's coming in the name of this Member of Parliament. Part-time bullion dealer, unlicensed perhaps. But even if he was licensed, he shouldn't have been bringing it in his personal luggage. That's against the convention.
I know. So many things that we can imagine. I mean, I think I heard that he has an office in Dubai, apparently.
Right.
And so he has been talking about that to a few other people.
Oh, okay.
Which I've heard. So I think this is a business that he has been, illegal business that he has been doing for a long time.
Well, which brings me back to the point that I hope that the Inland Revenue Chief isn't just sitting down and doing nothing in his do-nothing seat. he needs to be proactive, because we, the people, are also paying taxes, and we are paying much higher taxes than we did. So thank you very much, but you need to, honestly, get off your do-nothing seat. Direct message to whoever is the chief of the Inland Revenue Department. But because you see, and the other thing is, I wonder whether the speaker, the current speaker, whether the speaker will now take a little peek at the asset declaration provided by Ali Sabri Rahim and have a look to see whether he's declared his activities like smuggling and smuggling in gold and his business in mobile phones. I wonder whether this is all reflected in his asset declaration, because it should be.
Yeah, but I mean, that's up to the speaker, but I think there should be some sort of a law that that should get rid of his parliamentary seat as well.
Indeed, which is my last question. Will the House look into the MP's misconduct, thereby bringing the House into disrespect? Will any deterrent action and a censure be given by the Speaker on behalf of the House?
So we are looking into that as the opposition party, whether we can bring in a motion, something like that. I mean, if we can get rid of Janaka Ratnayaka.
Absolutely.
So there's a bit of a issue whether there's a law to do that, because he's an elected member. And when you are given a court
yes, a sentence, we understand that.
Definitely, I think it's over 6 months or something like that.
Yeah.
Then your parliament seat gets vacant.
Right.
But when it's a fine, there's, as far as I know, there's no law to get rid of the parliament seat.
This is a very serious matter, Harshana Rajakarana, and I hope that on behalf of the people who, after all, are sovereign, I hope that at least you will push through a request to the Speaker that you and your colleagues are deeply ashamed to have a member of Parliament who has just been caught red-handed smuggling. When, I mean, this is shameless. How did he get the money outside of the country?
I know, it's absolutely shameful to have a parliamentarian sitting with us who has done this. So definitely we will take it up with the Speaker. We will take it up in Parliament, and we will make sure that there's some law that, I mean, this is the first time.
Yeah.
I've heard that something like this has happened before, many decades ago. Before, I mean, maybe before I was born even.
Right.
But definitely there should be some sort of standing orders regarding these sort of matters. Yes.
Excellent. Please keep us informed, and News First will give it all the necessary, put it out to the public, because the public, the people, have a right to know. But Harshana Rajakarana, even though it's a sad day for good governance in Sri Lanka, with the removal of an independent commission member, Janaka Ratnayaka from the PUCSL, and Member of Parliament Ali Sabri Rahim from Puttlam, the Muslim National Alliance, having got caught smuggling and paid a fine, shamelessly walked into Parliament. I hope you look into it and do something about it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I will definitely do so.
Thank you. And that's the way it was on Newsline Live. Take care. Have a great evening, as much as you can, of course. And God bless you all. It's now time for the Prime Time.